Today's video is sponsored by BetterHelp. When Snow White found herself in a toxic situation, she was lucky enough to stumble upon a house in the forest and meet 7 helpful, friendly people. We don't all have that luxury, and we don't recommend wandering into random houses looking for it. Instead, let BetterHelp match you with a therapist who can help you find answers, feel better, and tackle problems with a refreshed perspective. And like we all have that one favorite relatable character, BetterHelp makes it easier to find your favorite therapist by letting you switch if your initial match isn't quite right. Your life may not be a fairy tale, but you deserve to be happy. Join the 4 million people who have turned to BetterHelp for help. Click the link in the description or go to betterhelp.com/CinemaSins and get 10% off your first month of therapy today. Adapted doesn't quite capture how far this movie is from the Brothers Grimm tale that you are referring to. Attempting to slowly entice me to read, then crossfading all the words so horribly that I cannot. Also, choosing a font that convinced me this page started with back day. Book states, as long as the mirror answered you are the fairest one of all, Snow White was safe, and not once in this movie is the appropriate amount of blame levied at the magic mirror for not just keeping its mouth shut. Hold on, is this entire movie going to be Disney flipping the pages of their ripped-off version of the Grimm stories set to swelling orchestral music? I guess I just need to get into my comfy reading time chair. Okay, carry on, silly old movie. I'm ready to read myself into a stupor. God damn it, now we start? Just as I get comfy? Bah!
Slave in the magic mirror.
Magic slavery.
Through wind and darkness I summon thee.
What a d***. Could you not summon thee through sunshine and pina coladas, maybe?
Who is the fairest one of all?
This is a terrible prompt to throw into Magic Mirror GPT. Yes, fairest could refer to beauty, but it could also mean an unbiased person, or a really pale person. Way to base your whole movie on what could just be the Queen's failure to properly communicate with her technology.
Reveal her name.
Lips red as the rose,
That is a stupid name.
skin white as snow.
Snow White.
How convenient that the description matches the name. Imagine if her name was Begonia or something. Thinking this puddle needed to be bigger. Snow White sings to the birds that this wishing will won't answer their wishes, and I don't think she's prepared for the chaos that would erupt from a dozen doves getting their heart's desire. Oh, you think they'd want birdseed or something. But look at their red eyes and you know murder is in their hearts after all the shit they take from the birds of prey. Flaming beaks of death are about to rain death upon the hawks, and Snow White should be a lot more careful with her secrets about wish-granting water. She's moved on to singing about her wish for the one she loves to find her because she's lazy, doesn't want a name and general location so she can go find him herself.
Oh!
Hello.
Holy shit, she actually seems to have summoned her love by singing to a hole in the ground. Now I'll spend the rest of the movie thinking of all the ways she wasted that power for love. She could have wished for a dragon, or a popsicle, or the downfall of the patriarchy, or a sandwich.
Did I frighten you?
Listen, if you're going to summon a person with a magical wishing well spell, you really shouldn't be such an ass and run from them when they leap over a private wall and start right in on the duetting. As he sing brags about having only one song, I wonder if it would be so hard to get 2 songs. To stay true to character in the live-action remake, Rachel Zegler's gonna have to perform this section with her eyes completely shut. Did that bird just tongue a human? And this guy's totally into it?
Take her far into the forest.
People who want to take her far into the forest are awful, villainous scum. And I hate that I can't watch a movie from 1937 without being reminded that in 2025 there are people who still don't realize that take her far into the forest is a dumb assholeish perspective.
But your majesty, the little princess.
Listen here, buddy, don't you go on trying to drag Shirley Temple into this mess.
You know the penalty if you fail.
Yes, your majesty.
He might know, but I don't. It's like I'm expected to automatically assume the penalty is death. It could be anything. It could be tickle torture. Now, she is singing about having but one song, and that's a lie. She will sing at least 2 or 3 more songs.
What's the matter?
Well, see, a human has now scooped up a wild creature from nature and is f***ing up its sense of survival in the wild. We'll never know why Snow White can woo the daytime creatures with her fairness, but not the nighttime ones. Seems nocturnist. Also being less enthralled by the songs of owls than you are by the songs of men who hop your fence without permission. This looks exhausting, but I bet it burns a ton of calories. Gives me an idea for my fitness channel called the Snow White Run, where you flail your arms and run blindly around while exclaiming, "Oh!" and "Ha!" This sequence where Snow White sees the forest morph and change to show a heightened emotional state, along with how menacing the unknown can be, goes on for so long that I'm now certain that one or both of us are tripping balls.
Please don't run away.
The person who was just running away from and screaming at everything doesn't want others to have any fun.
I didn't mean to frighten you, But you don't know what I've been through.
Taking someone else's stress and making it all about you.
I'm so ashamed of the fuss I've made.
Yeah, little ones, learn from the heroine Snow White and be terribly ashamed at feeling your feelings, crying after a terrifying experience, and basically just existing. Because when you inconvenience any other living thing with your emotional burden, the only proper response is an apology. Forgetting that silence really works best when you are being hunted. Now there's a song being sung about life flowing along that is only here to distract from the risk of fleas, ticks, and rabid animals. Also, main character is special enough to tame wildlife with music and a real kind heart cliche.
I'm sure I'll get along somehow.
Movie doesn't know it threw all the controversy of surviving in the woods right out the window by gifting Snow White the ability to summon wild game. Every f***ing arm gesture happening every f***ing time she walks.
Oh, it's adorable.
Kid animals who take strangers to someone else's house and dump them there for someone else to deal with.
Just like a doll's house.
Is she dumb? A strange man leaped into her private courtyard. That's not a euphemism. Then she was almost murdered by a huntsman and learned it was at the request of the queen. Nothing today has been safe, and yet she will roll up to this strange house armed with only her bubbly personality and an army of cute animals. This movie doesn't even realize that it is a cautionary tale. Peeping and teaching other innocent things to peep.
Guess there's no one home.
Breaking and entering. If she doesn't have to clean up piles of animal shit after this, I will give this movie 100 cents.
And from the look of this table, 7 untidy little children.
She couldn't possibly think this pickaxe belonged to a child, right?
A pickaxe. A stocking, too.
I stand corrected. Let's just pass this sin along to 1937 and its lack of a Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938.
And just look at that broom.
And the animals do look at the broom, and they somehow know what it is.
Maybe they have no mother. Then they're orphans.
Because this is a time of manly men doing manly things far too important to consider caring for a motherless child. And this animated movie will be damned if it's not historically accurate.
We'll clean the house and surprise them.
No one will be seated during the 4-minute house cleaning interlude.
Now you wash the dishes, you tidy up the room.
And every one of these woodland creatures will display proficiency at their randomly assigned task and complete it for free instead of f***ing off into the woods to play with their nuts. Snow White is now singing the iconic Whistle While You Work. And if I'm going to call any song from the 30s a banger, it might as well be this one. This chair was just violated by a deer. Snow White does not offer workers' compensation for the animals that are surely harmed while ripping apart their joints in this scene. My subs say music box playing as this beer stein dances around, and I have no idea what is going on. It's clearly not a music box, and my only other idea is that this is a callback to the chipmunk that was trapped in a different stein earlier, but that is still a weird f***ing callback. Tickle torturing a turtle. Sleepy Spine survives this. Now they are singing We Dig Up Diamonds by the Score, 1,000 rubies, sometimes more, but we don't know what we dig them for. This is either a serious case of worker exploitation or rich people living in filth because they don't know how to be rich. Both of those stories are more interesting than your life or death beauty contest. Glittering. This is supposed to show us why they call him dopey, but the rest of them should know this is the kind of shit he does. There's no believable situation where this guy is ever left in charge of the vault. Also, these gems don't get stolen from this ridiculous vault later in the movie, leaving massive untapped story potential right there on the table.
Let's see what's upstairs.
You've been in this house for hours. How are you not done snooping?
Jiminy crickets.
That negligent asshole of a conscience better stay away. This is just a warning. I will give all the sins if he shows his face again. You will never find out what happened to Dopey's demon summoning light box.
Search every cook and nanny, hook and granny, crooked fat.
Doc has no need to be ashamed that he's got nanny granny fannies on the mind. Well, if you thought the repetitive hi-hoing was annoying, you're in for a real treat with this non-stop shoe squeaking.
My cup's been washed.
Sad day for you, certainly, but why must you pop your ass out to say that? Snow White went to sleep with food on the fire and candles burning on the table. And don't tell me she's a light sleeper and planned to wake up when she smelled the meal cooking properly. She sleeps through insanity in these scenes.
Look, goldenrod.
The flowers we saw on the table earlier did not look like these goldenrods.
Sounded close. It's in this room right now.
Calls coming from inside the house cliche. There are now only 15 steps on this staircase when there were 21 earlier. Someone is changing the dream. The fact they can speed around this fast when they want to is very telling of that hours-long slow trot to and from work.
Now's our chance. Get it now.
Dopey survives being pummeled with pickaxes.
Did you see it?
How big is it? Was it a dragon? Has it got horns? Was it breathing fire? Was it drooling?
What was it doing?
The questions you receive when you're the first one in the friends group to find the somehow makes it into the script.
Just goddamn.
The woodland creatures have been watching over Snow White for a whole day, and when they see a determined mob go into the house to harm her, they have nothing to say about it. They get it all wrong. You just stab through the fabric. Would have been much more realistic to go full Nazgul.
She's mighty purty.
She's beautiful, just like a angel.
I see. It was the power of boners that made them completely forget about their murder mission.
How do you do?
Not answering with, how about you get the f*** out of my bed?
Now don't tell me who you are. Let me guess.
It is very convenient for Snow White that they all display the characteristics they were named after right when she looks at them. Otherwise, the guesses would have been actual guesses.
Queenie, he can't talk.
He don't know. He never tried.
That's too bad.
It does seem unfortunate. I don't know at what point it became hilarious, though.
What are you and who are you doing?
I'm beginning to think Doc needs to get laid, and the script is doing very little to help him with that.
Apple Dumpkins.
Crapple Dumpkins! Crapple Dumpkins.
Gooseberry pie! Hooray! She made!
Celebrating without knowing if her baking is actually good. This cauldron looks screaming hot, but Snow White will grab the top with this little rag and taste the stew after just one blow on the spoon. Her hand and mouth should be pissed off right now.
March straight outside and wash, or you'll not get a bite to eat.
Yeah, go wash the dirt off in the tub of still water teeming with bacteria.
Gosh, it's wet.
I guess we're to believe the dwarfs have never encountered water before and have somehow survived without hydrating.
You have to wash where it doesn't go.
If you have to ask this question, I'm guessing you are too far gone, and washing is far from enough. You're going to need to start with salting the earth.
Pick up the salt.
Having soap, but no idea about cleaning up or how it works. Confusing washing up with attempted murder. Somewhere buried deep in the Disney law firm's filing cabinets are thousands of accounts of innocent wee ones who blew out their eardrums after a bath because of this scene. Grumpy Gums survived non-consensual dentistry.
Over the 7 jeweled hills, beyond the 7th fall, in the cottage of the 7 dwarfs, dwells Snow White.
Doxing.
Now, a formula to transform my beauty into ugliness.
If the queen can do all this, nothing is stopping her from creating a formula to make herself even more fair than Snow White.
Change my queenly raiment to a peddler's cloak.
Being queen, but not having the resources to have someone fetch you a peddler's cloak, so you go and conjure one.
To age my voice, an old hag's cackle.
Which is achieved by jacking up a Bunsen burner to the point that the hissing sound somehow leans more hag than snake, and the movie never explains how any of this potioning works. Instruments that only work by complicated twerking. Also, remember when Grumpy was entirely against anything that would endear the princess to them because he didn't want her to spread her gross girliness everywhere? Well, here he's providing melodic accompaniment so his brothers can sing to her when he surely could have just gone upstairs and gone to bed.
Now you do something.
Because the washing up, cooking, singing, and dancing she has already done just isn't quite enough.
The princess will sleep in our beds upstairs.
She is only as tall as 2 of you stacked on each other. She does not need all 7 of your beds.
And please make Grumpy like me.
Using prayer time to ask God to manipulate someone into liking you.
Dip the apple in the brew.
Brothers Grimm said, have her do a bunch of weird to an apple. This way we'll know she's an asshole.
Now turn red to tempt Snow White.
Forgetting that some people prefer green apples.
The victim of the sleeping death can be revived only by love's first kiss.
Oh.
The dwarf will think she's dead. She'll be buried alive.
So she would actually die from the sleeping death. It would have been more accurate to name it death like sleeping. This paddleboarding looks about as fun as paddleboarding.
The little man will be away, and she'll be alone.
Assuming that a woman can't go to work and a man can't stay home, playing video games and watching movies as God intended. Allowing bird butt sprinkles into your baking.
The little men are not here.
No, they're not.
Talking to a stranger and then confirming to that stranger that you are alone. Kids, you are not obligated to speak to strangers. I don't know how these birds figured out that the apple was poison, but if tiny bird brains can deduce something is wrong, then the human brain should be at least as capable.
Maybe the old queen's got Snow White.
That is one hell of a guess, based only on all the woodland creatures being upset. And it ends up being right.
There she goes.
Okay, parents, time to pause the movie and let your kid know they're about to watch a mob murder someone before seeing any evidence that something bad had befallen the princess. I talk a lot of shit, but I would be remiss if I didn't show some respect to all the artists involved in bringing these scenes to life. And if I didn't acknowledge that when this movie came out, it was quite an accomplishment and a boon for the film industry. See, I know how to judge things based on the period in which they were made. A whole coffin of glass and gold? I continue to be confused by the dwarf's financial situation. Kissing a presumed dead person without consent. Letting yourself get carried away by a guy you only know 2 things about. He knows one song, and he likes kissing on dead girls. Instead of letting Snow White say goodbye before getting on the horse, Prince Alarming chooses to pick them up one by one to make himself more important to the situation than he actually is. You'd think that maybe after waking up from a coma, you'd have a few questions to catch up on things like, at the very least, did anyone cook and eat that gooseberry pie? Or is the queen lurking around? But nope, we're just headed off to the stranger prince's castle to fulfill her next best destiny of birthing children and making more pies. The end. How the f are they supposed to get to a castle in the goddamn clouds? Letting her get away without cleaning up the piles of animal that I warned her about earlier.
They shit on the windows! Oh my god! My house is full of shit!
Magic mirror on the wall. Who is the fairest one of all?
Oh shit. That's right. I am very, very sneaky, sir.
Oh, you sing a song.
Good. Tommy, that's a peeping. Tommy.
Shh, quiet. I'm hunting rabbits. Off with his head, break his bone.
We'll tear them apart and burn the pieces.
You motorboating son of a bitch, you old sailor, you.
Behold, her heart.
Oh, what's in the box?
A blast of wind.
I like to play.
Be not afraid. I'm just like you, except I'm giant.
Oh, what a world, what a